Hi everyone, this is an exclusive preview clip from an upcoming episode of the Daily Switch 2 podcast. I promised to do a deep dive and review all 25 games in the launch lineup and include all the information you could possibly need about which games are available physically versus digital only or keycards or codes and boxes, which games have upgrade paths available from Switch 1, which games are system exclusives, how much each game costs, and how much space that they will take up on your internal memory or SD Express cards. It ended up being a 2-hour discussion. Perhaps you can hear my throat is starting to go. And frankly, I'm not going to be able to fully render and upload such a long video before the Donkey Kong Banaza Direct. And I think this section will make a really interesting separate video anyway. So here I break down some interesting facts about the launch lineup overall, which I think can give a really interesting look at where the system and the games industry as a whole might be heading. So please enjoy this preview clip and then subscribe and check out all the links at linktree/dailyswitch2. That's linktr.ee/dailyswitch2 in order to watch the full 25 game breakdown later this week after we've finished dissecting the Donkey Direct. Do it! Dankeschön! No! But here's where it gets a little bit interesting. We can do a little bit of maths. Don't worry, you don't have to do the maths. I've already done it for you. This really helps summarize the launch lineup, in my opinion. We've got 25 games, but as far as exclusive games, there's only 4. And that includes the Welcome Tour. So just 16% of the games at launch are system exclusive. Or if you don't include Welcome Tour, which I personally don't, it's just 12.5% of the games at launch are exclusive. And that, to me, does not bode particularly well. But at the same time, you could argue, no, it's a good sign because it means that third parties are taking the system seriously and third parties are releasing games. And historically, that's been a problem for Nintendo. On many Nintendo systems, third parties haven't wanted to come on board. And it seems like third parties are coming on board. So maybe it's a good thing. Exclusive games are becoming a thing of the past, but we will always have at least first-party exclusive games for Nintendo. I can't imagine Nintendo ever releasing a Mario game on PlayStation or Xbox, for example. But still, 12.5% of the games are exclusive, and all the rest of the games are available on other systems, and probably for cheaper and possibly running better, ? But I suppose they aren't portable unless you've got a Steam Deck or a ROG Ally, something like that. Let's talk about prices. If you wanted to buy everything, if you wanted to buy all 25 launch games, let's say, you're a crazy rich person, or you're just, some silly YouTuber like me who wants to review every single game, how much would it cost you? It would cost you, rounding up, it would cost you $1,250 to buy all 25 games. And that, when you kind of work it all out, averages at $50 per game. Which doesn't sound too bad, because everybody's been talking about the $80 games. But realistically, looking at this list, there's only 2 $80 games so far. Both of them are from Nintendo. Both of them are overpriced ripoffs, in my opinion. They're good games. They're good games that you can get a lot of content out of, but in no sense are they more polished, more complete, or have more content than vast majority of the $60 games on this list. So, but still, $80 games everybody's moaning about, but when the average is worked out, it works out at an average of $50. But we do have those cheap games that I mentioned at the end, and the free game of Fortnite. So when you include just the full price games, and when I say full price games, that's everything kind of $40 to $80. When you include only the full price games and exclude the free to play and mini stuff, the average price of a game is $59.15. So again, that's actually pretty close to the $60 of the last generation. But $60 was the maximum, except for Tears of the Kingdom, whereas now $60 is the average. But are things quite as terrible as they initially seemed when everybody thought that all games were going to be $80? No, the average price at the moment works out at $59.15. And there are games available for significantly less, including Fast Fusion for just $15. Go and buy it. Please support the devs at that price. My God, go and support the devs. So much content as well for that. and they're going to be updating it for free. Just watch my review. There are only 2 games for $80, as I mentioned, both of which are from Nintendo. There are 5 games for $70. $70 is pricey, especially for the keycards or a code in a box. Code in a box. But in the case of Cyberpunk and Rune Factory, they're at least doing it right by having the whole game on a cartridge. I can get behind that. $70 is pricey, but it's only really $10 more than we were expecting before. And it's certainly better value to have the whole game on a cartridge than the $70 keycards, which I've got a bit more of an issue with. Let's talk about storage. If you wanted to have all 25 games, then you would need 555.8 gigabytes for all the games, not including some of the DLC, which means that even if you bought one of the 256 gigabyte official memory cards from Nintendo for an extra $60, you wouldn't have enough space with your system and the memory card to download all of the games available at launch. And that's just the games available at launch. Obviously, over time, more games are going to release. So this is what I was talking about before. Memory cards will kind of become the hidden cost. So let's break it down. The average size per game works out at 22.23 gigabytes, which means that the Switch 2, as it comes with the 256 gig built in, you could only get an average of 11 games before you need a memory card. Or even fewer if you only play those AAA 3D third-person style games, because, as you remember, those were averaging closer to 55 to 60 gigabytes each. Now, with Nintendo's official memory cards being $60 for 256 gigabyte, that means it's 23 cents per gigabyte, meaning an average hidden cost of an extra $5.21 per game. So the games might only average at $59.15, which is a bit cheaper than people were worried about, but you will basically have to pay an extra $5.21 for storage if you go the official Nintendo route. But again, as I mentioned in a previous video, you will be able to find larger capacity memory cards for cheaper. So that will become really important really quickly if you're going to be buying a lot of games. And don't forget, you don't have the option of only buying physical games and not having to worry about a storage space nowadays, because the vast majority of the games are keycard only or code in a box and not actually on the physical cards, even if you buy a box to put on your shelf. Let's break that down. So there are 4 full physical games only. Out of 25 games, only 4 of them actually have the game on the cartridge. That's 20%. And I have a strong feeling that that percentage is going to go down as more games are released, because more and more third parties are going to release keycard only. And it's a real shame. But as I said, I will make a separate video on that, because from a developer's perspective, I understand what's going on and I don't like it, but I don't have any say in the matter. So there we go. There are, at launch, 11 keycard games. That's 44%. Nearly half of the games are keycard only if you want the physical versions. 2 of them, inexcusably in my opinion, are code in a box games. That's 8%. 8% of the games is code in a box. I really hope that doesn't become precedent, but I note it was EA and Take-Two Interactive. And EA and Take-Two Interactive are both very large publishers who publish many, many games. So it's very likely that there will be many code in a box games moving forward. And I'm not happy about that, but it's just the way the industry is right now, I suppose. There are 2 games that right now you can't get a Switch 2 version physical, not even a code in a box or a keycard. As far as I can see, you can't get a physical version, but if you buy the Switch 1 version, the game will be on the cart because it's a Switch 1 cart, and then you get a free upgrade to play on the Switch 2. and presumably play slightly better on the Switch 2. Or even you might be able to download the full Switch 2 version because you own the Switch 1 version. So that's pretty great, and I mentioned those games before, and I think they should be applauded. So, with the 4 full physical release games, the 11 keycard release games, the 2 code in a box games, and the 2 Switch 1 physical games with the free upgrades, that means that 76% of the launch games are available in some physical collectible form, which is pretty good. Although only 20% are future-proof for collectors like me that will want to actually play the games in the future after the servers have been turned off, which is pretty rubbish. So depending on how you look at it, it's either good or it's bad, and my general opinion kind of works out of, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. The industry is going down the physical-only route. The new version of the PS5, the PS5 Pro, is basically trying to push people to be download only. I imagine that by the time we get to PS6, it will be download only. Xbox, there might not even be a new Xbox, man. I don't know what Microsoft are doing right now. They've got their whole everything is an Xbox campaign, and basically what they mean is you can use Xbox Game Pass on your mobile phone or your tablet or PC or your laptop or anything. You can stream Xbox games. They seem to be caring less and less about physical systems. They've just shoved an Xbox logo onto a ROG Ally and said, oh, we've got a portable Xbox. No, it's not a portable Xbox. It's a ROG Ally. ROG Ally's great system, but putting an Xbox logo on there and giving it Game Pass does not mean it's an Xbox. It's a real shame to me, and I don't know if we'll even see another traditional Xbox as far as, the Series X and S, are traditional consoles. Much as people might say they're like a PC in a box, which they kind of are, they still at least have the pretense of being a console in the console wars. Do you want a Series X or do you want a PS5? I'm not even sure that we're going to see another real Xbox, and if we do, it certainly will be digital only, going by how Microsoft is working, and PS6 will probably be digital only, and Nintendo, as I said, they're trying to push people to adopt the digital only. It's the most difficult for Nintendo fans, though, because traditionally a large percentage of Nintendo fans are people who've been around for a long time. They're vintage collectors. They're people who like to have things on their shelf. They're people who, and a large percentage of Nintendo's money comes from that as well, because it's those fans that will pay for the same game over and over and over again and have like 20 different versions of Super Mario Brothers that they've been willing to pay for over the years for different systems. And these are the people who are going to be buying the physical Breath of the Wild Switch 2 edition, even though they already own the physical version on Switch 1 and Wii U. This is a large percentage of Nintendo's market, is people who want all the physical versions. And they're the same people who want to collect every single different colored edition and every single hardware refresh of each piece of hardware as well. I mean, the Switch 1 has sold 150 million units, but how many of those were to the same people who bought a Switch 1, then the new version with the battery, then a Switch Lite, then a Switch OLED? And probably bought color variations and Zelda variations and Animal Crossing variations just because they wanted to collect them. Certainly not 150 million unique people bought a Switch 1. There's many people who bought 2, 3, 5, 10 variations. And those kind of people are not going to want to be digital only. They're going to want to physically collect stuff. And I fall into that. But I'm also a gamer. I want to play the latest games. And if we switch to a digital-only world, I don't know. Will I just give up and stick with my physical games from retro systems and try and catch up with my backlog into my retirement and die a bitter old man? Or will I keep playing the new games and just accept that the world has gone digital? I don't know. But right now, what do I feel about the state of the launch games for the Nintendo Switch to 25 games? What do I think? They're good. If you don't already own the majority of those multi-platform games, and you're interested in playing them, and this will be the first time that you're playing them, it's a great launch lineup, frankly. There's plenty of really good games, and plenty of those games have a huge amount of gameplay, hundreds and hundreds of hours worth of gameplay in many of the RPGs and the life sims and the arcade-style games that you can practice over and over again. There's a lot of AAA stuff there. There's a lot of third-party stuff there. So from that perspective, it's a great launch lineup. But from the perspective of what system-exclusive games are there that aren't available elsewhere and probably cheaper and maybe running better, yeah, there's only really 3 exclusive games. But one of them is only $15, and we should celebrate that. Thank you for listening. I've rambled on way too long about this. And if you've enjoyed this, and if you want to hear more reviews from me, as I said, we've got a deep dive on Fast Fusion and a deep dive on Mario Kart World. You can go and listen to those. But I will have more game reviews coming up. And we're also going to be covering the forthcoming exclusive game, new exclusive game that I'm really excited about, Donkey Kong Banaza, not Bonanza, it's Banaza, like bananas, get it? Tomorrow, or maybe today, depending on how long it takes this video to upload and process, we have a Nintendo Direct for Donkey Kong Banaza, and I will be talking about that game in depth, and it is the exclusive game coming up, first party exclusive game that I'm really looking forward to, and I'm hoping it will be a system seller. I'm not sure that it will be a system seller. I have certain reservations, but I am really excited. I love me some Donkey Kong, I love me some platform games, and I love me some first party Nintendo games as well. They're almost always of a pretty high quality, realistically, aren't they? And even something like Mario Kart World, we can moan about it as much as we like, but it's still a million times better than the majority of third-party games, isn't it? It's just that when it comes to Nintendo, we have such a high bar, and that's why we're all moaning. Really, we've got Mario Kart World at launch, we've got Fast Fusion at launch, and we've got excellent versions of many good third-party games that would never have even thought about running on the Switch One. So we can complain all we like, and I have complained a lot in this video, but really the launch lineup is pretty good. Compared to other historic Nintendo consoles, honestly, it's one of the best launch lineups. And that sounds crazy to say because I'm so kind of lukewarm on it, but actually when you go back historically and you look at Nintendo console launch lineups, many of them have not been great, and it's only down the line that we got the better games. So if that's something that you'd like me to do a deep dive on, drop a comment, because again, I think it's interesting. And it did seem that some people found my retrospective of the Super Nintendo launch, comparing it with the Switch 2 launch, interesting. It's got less views, but more comments and more likes than other videos. So I think there's definitely a niche of people who are interested in the kind of retrospective stuff, looking over the retro things and comparing them with the new and what we can learn from history. So I do like talking about those subjects. So even if it got slightly less views than the more contemporary stuff, it did seem that there was some people that were really interested in it. So if you'd like me to compare with more Nintendo launch lineups, maybe do like a tier list, that would be really cool. Or if you want me to do a tier list of all these 25 games, let me know. I can't do it right now because I haven't played all of them, but I will try and get around to playing all of them, at least for an hour or two, to get an idea of what they're like, so that I can put together a tier list if you'd like me to do so. Or do you want me to just move on and we'll only talk about the new games coming out, and we don't care about the launch lineup anymore because the majority is third party and games that are already available on other systems and we already know about them? Let me know. Linktree/DailySwitch2, linktr.ee/DailySwitch2 for all the links on how to find the show, how to find more episodes, how to support the show, and to come join our free members area where you can come and talk to me and make suggestions, tell me that I talk too much, or tell me what you'd like me to talk about, and also get yourself in line to possibly win one of those free Nintendo Gacha Toys, official Nintendo Gacha Toys that I'm giving away just randomly as a promo thing for fun to people who join our free members area. Okay, thanks guys. I'll see you tomorrow for the Direct.